In the late 70s, an Australian businessman, inspired by Walt Disney, decided he would build a theme park for himself on the Gold Coast, complete with Main Street, Emporium, singing animals, and of course, a cuddly mascot. For a time, Dreamworld was called the unofficial third Disney park location, and later would become Australia's biggest theme park. This is the story of its creation.
Take a trip away from the everyday. You can fly, you can scream, you can make a splash, you can dream. Take a trip away from the everyday. Take a Dreamworld one-day holiday. It's your dream world. Come and take some dreams away.
Dreamworld is located in Coomera, Queensland. Its history starts with just one man and his dream to build a theme park. John Longhurst had hoped for Australia to have its own entertainment park from the moment Disneyland had opened. As a huge fan of Walt Disney, he took his first trip to Disneyland in 1957. He had worked as a truck operator and a lawnmower manufacturer, later building houses and boats where he created his company, Pride Boats, one of the largest boat manufacturers in Australia, before selling it in 1965. During his retirement, on a trip to the States, he decided he wanted to build his own first-class small slice of Disneyland in Australia. After being unable to find a location near Sydney, he settled for an area on the Gold Coast. After purchasing the 210 acres of land, along with a second-hand bulldozer, which he had to learn to drive, over a 2-year period, he and his son Tony worked 12 hours a day as they gouged out 800 meters of canal where a paddle weaver in his park could travel. They would name the waterway the Murrissippi. On one side would sit early Australian buildings, on the other, American Wild West buildings, along with an entranceway that was envisioned with a full Main Street inspired by Disneyland itself, all the way to the smallest details, including the glass blowers. John's friend, Ken Lord, a Sydney furniture retailer, wanted to join in on the process and join forces as a partner. They began to truly develop the site, but the final say on how things would be was always John's. He was incredibly picky on how he wanted the park to look, feel, and sound, with buildings even being rebuilt if they were not quite right.
Good old days, those good old days, bring them back to me.
By 1981, after 8 years of preparation, he was ready to open Phase 1 of the $13 million Australian theme park, named Dreamworld. No expenses would be spared, and it would be of the highest quality with the highest craftsmanship. The other local park, SeaWorld, was so interested in what the competition was building, they would often fly over in a helicopter to scope it out. In response to the park, they added a corkscrew roller coaster, named Sea Viper. John himself had visited Arrow, but decided the corkscrew coaster was not what he wanted. This competition would create a healthy rivalry between the two parks that would last many years, each trying to offer more and more.
Share a dream at Dreamworld. Share a thrilling dream, a quiet dream, or just some pure fantasy at Dreamworld, the biggest entertainment complex in the Southern Hemisphere and the best value anywhere. It's a full day of exciting rides and shows, plus shops, restaurants, and more. So come early, come on in to Dreamworld, the place where dreams really do come true.
Opening in December 1981 by the Premier of Queensland, inside guests would find traditional amusements such as a merry-go-round, shooting gallery, a steam train, the paddle wheeler, Captain Sturt, the Rocky Hollow log ride, and an IMAX theatre inspired by Circle Vision, just on a Dreamworld budget. Another attraction was an animatronic show named Country Jamboree. This time though, it wasn't bears singing, it was koalas.
As Australian as it gets, where Blue Gum Bill and his cheeky bush balladeers put on the finest computerized animated character extravaganza in the world.
Now this is called Real Bush Band. Hey, this sound is something grand. I'll play to you whatever you like. As long as it's country, she's right.
They play, joke and sing up a storm in the Gumtree Gully Hall, a comfortable air-conditioned theatre seating 400 hand-clapping, foot-stomping fans.
The answer to Disneyland's Mickey Mouse would be Dreamworld's Kenny Koala. Every single area of the park was landscaped, with every single feature looked at in immense detail. The park was an instant success and began making money immediately. Within the first 4 months, over 250,000 people had visited. It was open all week except Wednesdays, and its inspiration from Disney could be seen throughout, from the trains to the Main Street design. It really could have been seen as a smaller, but just as well kept and detailed Disneyland, a fact the media noted, nicknaming it the Disney Down Under.
Dreamworld is more than a world-class tourist attraction, more than a theme park, where the food, the entertainment, the setting, your hosts are all there to see you have one of the happiest days of your life. Dreamworld is a man's vision, John Longhurst's vision, the way the world should be, and anything but every day.
Take a trip away from the everyday. Take a Dreamworld one-day holiday.
The next few years saw continued investment in the park. 1 year after opening, the $3.3 million Thunderbolt opened as the world's longest steel double loop roller coaster at 3,960 feet. This ride was actually leased and operated by Ken Lord and would continue to lose money, even though it would cost guests an extra $3 to ride it on top of park entry. The money lost would have a huge impact on the Lord's Furniture Company, resulting in Ken having to sell his shares in the park and the roller coaster to John.
Not your everyday roller coaster.
These two giant loops are 21 meters high. The Thunderbolt has recorded a top speed of 87 kilometers per hour and is one of the longest double loop roller coasters in the world. The Thunderbolt at Dreamworld is not your everyday ride.
Take a trip away from the everyday. Take a Dreamworld one-day holiday.
Investments would again continue, and Stage 2 was set to be completed by 1985, with a further $22 million put into the park. The park was now operating 7 days a week and had seen the addition of more and more attractions and lands. The Village Green had a European-styled town, Blue Lagoon, a highly themed water park, and the $4 million Gold Rush Country would be home to the Eureka Mountain Mine Ride and the Thunder River Rapids Ride. The park stated they wanted to build Epcot quality, high-tech experiences, just scaled down to a price they could afford.
Take a trip away to our yesterday. Claim your Dreamworld Gold Rush holiday. The years rush away, strike it rich today. Claim your Dreamworld Gold Rush holiday. Don't say one day, prospects are good for fun. Dreamworld's Gold Rush Country means you'll strike it rich. New Gold Rush Country, now open. Take a Dreamworld one-day holiday.
John was a big fan of dark rides. The Eureka Mountain Mine Ride was originally brought from Coney Island in the 70s, where it had moved to Perth, before ending up at Dreamworld. A wild mouse in the dark turned into a dark ride.
They say you have to be a little bit crazy and certainly a child at heart to work in the entertainment industry with children. I'd like you to meet John Longhurst. He created this whole wonderful dream park called Dreamworld, and it certainly is a place that kids love, isn't it, John? It sure is. We have about 1 million people come here a year, John, and I think they have the time of their life.
Just a few months after opening, John was asked if he had any intentions of selling the park. He said no, and hoped to be there when he was 92 years old. He had huge plans to continue the park's growth. After visiting Busch Gardens in Tampa, he saw the park had tigers and wanted to do the same. He also wanted to add a resort for visitors to stay in, an underwater dark ride, and much more. Sadly, none of this ever happened. In 1989, he had sold the park. The buyer would be Bruce Jenkins and his company Dreamco. Jenkins shared a passion for many of the concepts that John had envisioned and promised to continue his legacy. Dreamworld, however, would never be the same again. That promise to continue the legacy would never happen. Jenkins, who had owned a caravan park, retirement home, and a hotel, had been a longtime friend of John and purchased the park for $17 million. $5 up front, and the rest was to be financed by investors. In less than a year, Dreamco entered receivership. In 1995, Jenkins declared bankruptcy, offering a $20,000 settlement to his creditors, which he had had many, owing $400 million in total. Ernst & Young, receivers and managers were brought in to take control, operating Dreamworld as an independent park. Surprisingly, it continued to grow during this time, with now around 1.8 million visitors per year, increasing attendance by 51%. Simpsons characters began meeting within the park, as well as Dreamworld beginning to transition to a more corporate, sponsor and brand filled attraction. It had worked though, and in 1994, Dreamworld came out of liquidation, saved with a federal court approved scheme by Ernst & Young. That idea of John's from Busch Gardens Tampa did come through, with the opening of Tiger Island in 1995. The same year, the park was once again sold to a Singaporean businessman for $84 million, who would invest $20 million to upgrade and expand the park. The highlight of which was adding Tower of Terror, a 377-foot tall reverse freefall coaster by Intamin, the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the world at the time, at least for 2 months anyway. This purchase created a major issue in the federal election, following an outcry over the sale of Dreamworld to overseas interests. It wasn't long though, and the park would be sold again, this time in 1999 for $114 million by Macquarie Leisure Trust, part of Macquarie Bank, who would later form into Ardent Leisure, the company which still operates the park today. From this period on, investments continued to come in, but the picture-perfect Disneyland of Australia was no more. The park continued to grow, but this time, the purpose had changed.
Question: what do you get when you mix buckets of green slime, Australia's favourite theme park, and the #1 kids channel? Answer: the hottest attraction for kids on the Gold Coast, Nick Central at Dreamworld! Let's check it out. Whoa, this place is massive! There are 16 different rides and attractions here, over 2.5 hectares of fun, and we'll get to meet some of our cool Nick characters like Tommy here.
Nickelodeon Land, Wiggles World, a new water park, and even Big Brother Australia was filmed there. And eventually, DreamWorks animation characters and films were incorporated into the park. Some of these rides though, are of course worthy of their own expeditions. Slowly but surely, the original Disney-inspired attractions began to disappear, replaced by more thrilling or sponsored IP branded areas. I mean, there's a Bananas in Pajamas area, so what can top that? That original IMAX theatre was eventually replaced with a soaring over Australia type ride.
Make a wish. Count to 3.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination.
Dreamworld today is a completely different place to the one envisioned at its creation, and the version that became known as the Disney Down Under, an unofficial third Disney park location, offering the picturesque, classic, highly detailed, and strictly maintained theme park experience on a smaller scale. The park isn't worse, just completely different. While today the park attracts more thrill seekers, it still does offer a little for everyone. There have been many failures over the more than 30 years since it was first sold, some with tragic consequences. As for the park's history, very little remains of what John Longhurst had envisioned. Dreamworld was built with a huge amount of love and hope, and some may say even a little plagiarism. Underneath the now corporate sponsors and thrill rides lays a subtle, more simpler idea. Many reports state that people who had worked on Disneyland itself had helped build Dreamworld, and looking at the facades on Main Street, you can see why. John, however, stated that was not the case. The Disney influence throughout opening day Dreamworld is obvious. However, the question still remains, why did he sell the park? When asked, he stated that Dreamworld was his idea, and it was for him. He had had 5 children and didn't want to require any of them to continue what he started, and didn't think it was fair for 1 or 2 of the 5 children to follow what Dad did, and the others make their own way. He would rather them all forge their own path through life, just like he had years before. In the years since he had sold Dreamworld, he had only ever visited the park twice. Over that time, he had sometimes thought about if he regretted selling the park and how things had turned out if they were different. But he states, history is history. His father always said to be successful, you had to go and do the thing that would make you happy. And for John, Dreamworld was it. While very little remains of the original ideas, what he created had made millions of people happy over its lifetime. And just as Walt did, he said that he hoped Dreamworld would never be completed. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Theme Park. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to join the expedition. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram for updates on upcoming episodes, and we will see you next time.
Some folks never let themselves go, would never kiss a bear on the nose.
That's crazy.
They say one day, don't say one day. Take a trip away from the everyday. Take a Dreamworld holiday.